'cause I don't give a fuck what you say. Yeah, I'ma do shit my way. So you can go kick rocks, I'ma stack bricks up, build what I want to make. Yo, I got a lot of shit to say, so I'ma do this every day. I'll be writing things until I'm fucking buried in my grave.
You can see on the left there, we got the Senate's in session. Right now, we've got a task force, the assassination task force, which is underway. I'm fully expecting to get into this on the show. I'm imagining there's going to be some report or something closely, maybe not a report since they're in Congress, but I guess this is their final session. So we'll come back on that. They got Ronald Rutrow, who's the acting Secret Service director, who's in there, I guess, answering some final questions. So we'll check in on that. But there's a bunch more happening. Senate is in session. FDA is in session, talking about obesity. U.S. Postmaster, Virginia officials, DOJ saying Memphis discriminated against black people. Oh, no. So the DOJ released a whole report on racism. Okay. NASA holds a conference. It's a busy one today. And we've also got fallout from the CEO. We've got Biden and his preemptive pardons that are coming. And we got the mayor of wherever she is, super mayor, Tiffany, who's in the house. And so it's a beautiful day, my friends. Yeah, $1 trillion. It's a lot of money, no matter how you splice it. And is C-SPAN doing short videos now? What is this? Wow. That's pretty interesting. Anybody have their Christmas tree up yet? Mama just sent me a Christmas tree today. Here, you want to see my mama's Christmas tree? It's beautiful because my mom is amazing. All right, here it is. Here is the Govea household Christmas tree, courtesy of Mama G, sent over today. Bum, bum, bum. There we go. Well done, Mama. See how I have my mom's name is Mary Ann? But it's Mom in parentheses. You know, I don't know why I did that a long time ago, and I never changed it. Love you, Mama. All right. Happy Merry Christmas, my friends. Hopefully your trees are up. It's a beautiful day. All right, so we got all of that cooking this morning. Love you, Mama. Hopefully you're out there. Let's listen in on this for a second and see what they're talking about. This is live.
Cost to have an ether cable to where your anti-drone technology would have worked? How much would it have costed in a walkthrough with local law enforcement to secure the AGR site, or put cameras on that roof, or put agents on that roof, or have your snipers have iPads, or have one command post instead of two, or cordon off the damn AGR complex, 17 acres? That would have cost $2 billion. And in fact, with caution tape, signs, posts, and stakes, it would have run about $410 because we ran through it. Let's add it down to zero. Say it's $4,000.
He's like, I went to Lowe's, man. It's not that expensive.
So I got another question for you. You recognize
Best working on your tree right now. Amazing. Lots of shout out. Hey, thanks for saying that, Mama. Mama, they love your tree.
Yes, sir, I do. Okay. Is that the remembrance of September 11th?
It was.
Was it in New York?
It was at Ground Zero.
Okay. Who's usually at an event like this closest to the President of the United States, security-wise?
The SAC of the detail.
Special agent in charge of the detail. Were you the special agent in charge of the detail that day?
Actually, let me address this. Could you please, staff, leave that? Oh, no, leave that one up with the circle around me. Thank you. Well, actually, Congressman, what you're not seeing is the SAC of the detail out of the picture's view. And that is the day where we remember the more than 3,000 people that have died on 9/11. I actually responded to Ground Zero. I was there going through the ashes of the World Trade Center. Mm-hmm. I was there at Fresh Kills.
I'm not asking you that. I'm asking you,
Congressman.
Were you the special agent in charge?
To show respect for a Secret Service member who died on 9/11.
Oh, that you're trying to be.
Do not invoke 9/11 for political purposes.
Oh, I'm not. I'm invoking this.
You are, sir.
Gentlemen,
and you are out of line.
I would like to ask him a question, please.
You are out of line, Congressman.
Whoa! I'm an elected member of Congress, and I'm asking you a serious question, and you are
I am a public servant who has served this nation, and
You
spent
won't answer
time
the question.
on our country's darkest day.
Committee will come to order.
Politicize it.
Committee will come to order.
I'm asking you serious questions for the American people, and they're very simple. They're not trick questions. Were you the special agent in charge that
No, I
day?
wasn't. I was there
No,
representing
Mr.
the
Chairman,
United
I'm
States
just
Secret
asking you yes or
Service,
no.
sir.
Mr. Fallon, your
And
time's
did not
expired.
affect protective
You know
operations.
why you were
Time's
there?
expired.
Because you wanted to be visible, because you were auditioning for this
I was
job.
there to pay
You're not gonna
respect for a
get
fallen
till
member of
January
this
20th.
agency.
You endangered
You are
President
out of
Biden's
line,
life,
Congressman.
Vice President
You are out of
Harris's
line.
life, because you put those agents out of position.
Mr.
Get him.
You have a radio with
Mr.
you?
Fallon,
You
your
were
time
a
has
vet, you have a
expired.
weapon?
Mr.
No.
I did, sir, and you are out of line.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman. Mr.
All right,
Chairman,
you two,
Yes, sir.
into the ring.
please.
Into the ring right now.
We are back
You're
in
a
order
bully.
now. We're back in order now.
Wow. That was
Mr.
incredible.
Moskowitz, you are now
Talk
recognized
about
for
jumping
5
in
minutes.
at the right time.
Okay.
So that's what you call
Congressman?
pounding the table,
How
okay?
you doing?
Good, sir.
All right. So
That's what we call pounding the table, all right? When you've got nothing else to say, you just start screaming at each other, and that's what he did. 9/11, I was there. I was going through the action. That's not what we're talking about, 9/11, man. Can you answer questions about Trump getting shot in the head and your agency failing on that? So pound the table when you have no facts, when you have no law, when you're a total bonehead. All you got to do is just scream. So, wow. All right. Now here's Moskowitz. Moskowitz, I think, said he's going to work with the Doge people.
but luckily, President Trump moved his head and he wasn't killed.
Yeah, luckily.
I can't imagine where we would be if we didn't have that second piece of luck.
What?
And so
The
everyone
head
here brings their
movement? Yeah.
different experience. I'm a former emergency management director. I know disasters when I see them, right? And July 13th was an absolute disaster. There's just no question about that. And I've done after action reviews, and you go through the things, in your response to a hurricane and what failed, and then you're like a general fighting the last war. We're going to fix the things that failed that day. But really, you got to do more of a holistic approach, not just look at the things that failed that day, the things that aren't working in general, bigger picture, and not just
Like
fix
you're not even saving
just
your
those
radio
specific things.
records.
I'm familiar about what it's like to come into an agency and clean up someone else's mess, which is what you're doing, and quite frankly. And so I applaud you for that, right? You've been handed,
He's been at the agency his whole life.
a ship with a hole in it.
Oh my
and
gosh.
it's taken on water, and you got to figure out
Wasn't he the
how to,
number
A,
2
fix the hole and
under
get the water out of the boat at the same
what's her
time.
name?
So
Cheadle?
I
Kimberly
applaud you for
Cheat
stepping
America
up
Cheadle?
and doing that. I want to talk about one of the comments that multiple people made on this committee, and it's for your agency and it's for other agencies, which is that a lot of time we get stuck in this process thing. Oh, because of process, we can't communicate with the public, or we're not going to communicate with Congress because of process. Agencies need to change with the times. Things are different now.
Ronald Rowe joined the agency in 1999, Jared.
That vacuum gets filled with conspiracy theories. We talk about restoring faith in the institutions. Yes, government needs to work. People need to see that they're competent. But at the same time, we're not going to be able to restore that faith if the agencies aren't communicating with the public and instead are getting conspiracy theories online because no one else is giving them information.
There is no
And that's
information.
gonna
You
be a
torched the
push-pull
body after 10
that
days.
You, DOJ, the FBI are going to have to deal with in today's world of
God, this
communication.
guy's such a
Other
loser.
people will tell your story for you, and it will be false if you don't tell it.
There's nothing to tell. They
wanna talk
deleted
about
evidence.
Two specific things.
They
and then I
deleted the
wanna
body
get
within
to
10
page
days.
7 of the report, which for
All right.
me-
So anyways, all right. I'll lose my gasket on this one. But yeah, Ronald Rowe, according to Wikipedia, joined the Secret Service in 1999. So yeah, he's coming in here to deal with the problem that he's got just handed to him. He's been a part of it for 20 years plus. All right. So you can see he's just talking. He's not saying anything meaningful other than we don't want conspiracy theories to percolate. Well, why did they let conspiracy theories percolate? Why, the same day that they formed the congressional committee, this body, why did they torch the body that same day? Why was the FBI up on the roof washing the blood off the top of the roof? And a lot more, right? They have no radio recordings from that day. The whole thing's a joke. So they're going to wrap it up, I guess. I guess this is the last day. We'll do a further debrief on it. I don't know if a report came out, but man, I think we got the spiciest clip of the day right there. I mean, holy goodness. I was like, well, maybe we'll just dip into it for a second. And it was like, verbal blood sport out there on Congress, screaming at each other. I kind of like that. When I see stuff like that, it's like, I kind of want to get into, I kind of want to go to Congress. Maybe I'll run one day. Because in that situation, can't you just take off your tie? Just say, all right, listen, man, enough. Just take off your tie and just take off your shirt if you want to. Just go right down there. Just say, let's just do this. You know what I mean? All right, I've had enough. Let's go. Can you do that? You have legislative immunity. What are they going to do? I don't know. You probably get reelected by 90 points. Probably win the presidency immediately thereafter. Yeah, you do a supplé on the guy. You know, nice. All right, so we'll see what happens on that one. We'll come back on it later. Yeah, let's go, baby. Let's go. All right, so let's talk about this story. Speaking about security and Secret Service, yeah, this is a curious situation here. I've got some good stuff queued up on this one. Lots of questions around Brian Thompson's death. You see, here's a still photo of the scene. A lot of stuff blurred out in these videos and these images, but from the granular angles that we see here, people are trying to deconstruct, reverse engineer what went down. This guy was just walking down the street. This person pops up, shoots him in the back and the leg, and then he is now eliminated. Now, there's been some interesting reaction to this. Some people on the left are thrilled about it. In fact, this woman, you know her as Taylor Lorenz, is justifying the shooting and killing of somebody walking down the street. And I've got no love for healthcare CEOs or anybody in the medical space based after what they did to us during COVID and how they exploited us. But I'm not ever going to be somebody who just is enthusiastic about shooting people who are walking down the street ever. And for some reason, Taylor Lorenz is. And we'll come back on that. But the reaction is that there's a message that was written on the bullets, which is pretty shocking because they are interesting words. The story tells us that he was gunned down in a brazen attack, shot multiple times. Guy's name is Brian Thompson, led United Healthcare Insurance Company. And man, they threw him right off their website immediately. I was digging into his bio and they deleted it like while the body was still warm. He was shot to death, point blank range, New York, Hilton, Midtown. The shooter, who has still not been located, and people are trying to say, is this guy a professional or not? Well, he's not been caught. And if there's no real good connection to him, it's unlikely that he will be. I mean, who knows? Was this a close connection or was this some random hired person? Appeared to have been lying in wait at the hotel. And there were bullets on the shell casings that were found on the scene. He fired bullets and the casings came out. He wrote words on them. The words were deny, defend, and depose. Deny, defend, and depose, said ABC News. The masked gunman, who remains on the loose, carried out a brazen targeted attack. NYPD detectives said that they were working to determine whether the words were meant as a message from the shooter and whether it hints at a motive. Now, apparently, this is a photo of him also at I think a Starbucks before the shooting took place. He walked up behind him, pointed the gun at him, fired. A witness fled. Thompson stumbled, fell to the ground. The gunman walked closer, fired a few more times. The shooter was seen on video at 5 a.m. the morning of the shooting outside Frederick Douglass Houses, a public housing project in the Upper West Side. There's the photo there. When the suspect was spotted on video, he was seen carrying what appeared to be an e-bike battery. Thompson's wife, Paulette Thompson, said that they're shattered. Obviously, they got kids. Brian was an incredibly loving, generous, talented man who truly lived a life, touched many lives, incredibly father to our two sons who will miss their father. Thompson was 50, was there. There was an investors conference that was scheduled to start at 8 a.m., and his schedule was widely known. The conference was being held at the Hilton, outside of which he was shot. He was not staying there. The hotel is by the intersection at that location. People passed by the suspect, and he appeared to just be standing there waiting. After Thompson exited his hotel, walked across the street, the shooter stepped onto the sidewalk from behind a car, shot him in the back. The shooter then walks towards the victim, continues to shoot, appears the gun malfunctions, he clears the jam. And some people were saying it was a special type of weapon. It's like a bolt action weapon. So he wasn't clearing a jam. He was actually just, recycling the weapon. And I'm not an expert in that capacity, but did look like a jam. Then other people were saying, well, he was expecting the jam because he was using subsonic weapon ammunition. And then other people were saying, no, man, this wasn't a professional in any sense of the word, like in that manner, because if he would have thought about his rig more, he would have had a better rig. He would have just walked right up to him in the head or something, right? But the guy's not been caught. And unless something breaks on this case, it's probably unlikely that he is. Now, I'm also mindful of the fact that they may come out and say, well, they found somebody somewhere, some homeless guy who's now dead, and they can't follow any traces or whatever. But like the likelihood that this comes to a good conclusion, I think, is probably low. Detectives are working to determine whether the suspect had pre-positioned the bike somewhere else. There he is, running away on the bike. Police believe a water bottle and a candy wrapper left near the shooting scene are linked to the shooter. Wow, that's interesting. It doesn't sound very professional. Like, did he leave his Starbucks cup there that says whatever the name is, his name is right there on the thing? Detectives believe the gunman is not a professional killer, though. The FBI, which has the most sophisticated technology for retrieving usable data from cell phones, is helping with the investigation. So they'll try to zoom in on that. Thompson arrived in New York on Monday. Police are interviewing his colleagues and family. Thompson left his hotel by himself, didn't appear to have a security detail. And the cell phone stuff is a real big deal. I mean, they really can track that stuff amazingly well. Remember, that's basically how they found Brian Kohberger. The victim's hotel room has already been accused and accessed by investigators. They're trying to determine what he did recently. The parent company, United Health Group, wrote a statement, and it was a very brief statement. And this was a little, this felt a little soon, a little quick to me. See what you guys say about it. But when I was trying to search for this guy and try to figure out who he is, I'm like, oh, who is this person? So I went over to Google and I type in, Brian Thompson, United Health Group, whatever, and you can see I'm searching for it. Google still has it in their search results, but when you click over to it, like, who is Brian Thompson? They tell us Brian Thompson was the chief executive officer. Prior to the role, he served as CEO, United Healthcare. You click it, and it is deleted, right? So that happened yesterday. So, like, the body's still warm, and they're like on the phone with the web guy. They're like, pull his bio off the website. Like, somebody thought about that. You know what I mean? Like, hasn't even been 24 hours, man. And they nuked the dude's bio off the website. I'm like, damn, that's pretty cold. Like, can't you just like put a memorial or something? It feels a little rough to me. It feels like a little cold. But here's what their statement was. This is the only thing they post. Like, I'm thinking about like what they did with Steve Jobs or something. Like, he died. It was like, like a month of, it's like a hagiography. Well, this is a tragedy. This dude just got shot in the back, man. Like, shouldn't this be like a state of mourning? Shouldn't the United Health, like, wow, one of our own got taken out? They said, we're deeply saddened and shocked at the passing of our dear friend and colleague, Brian, the CEO, highly respected colleague and friend to all who worked with him. We are working closely with the New York Police Department and ask for your patience and understanding during this difficult time. Our hearts go out to Brian's family and all who were close to him. That's it? That's what you got for us? All right. Wow. Okay. Thank you for your service. They nominated a new CEO already. Sheesh. Interesting. So, and I tried to find that on a Google cache. I tried to go find that on the Wayback Machine, and I couldn't find what the bio says. So I don't know. Felt a little bit weird to me. Normally we can find stuff. Like we've searched for a bunch of stuff before. It's like, wow, they didn't change that. They didn't remove that. It's still up there, but this was gone immediately. It's like, wow. All right. And I made a post about this last night. You can see about 10:33. It's when I found it. So I'm sure it happened a lot sooner than that. But that is him. That's the scene. You can see he was CEO. He was 50, lived in Minnesota, was visiting just for this event, graduated University of Iowa. They did some background. There were allegations of fraud. All right. In May, he was sued for alleged fraud and illegal insider trading. Someone filed the Hollywood Firefighters Pension Fund, filed a lawsuit against United. And these mega corporations are always being sued, right? So you never really know if this is anything. United Health announced it would buy Change Healthcare. The Justice Department sued to break them up. The lawsuit claimed Thompson knew about the investigation, sold his shares, made a $50 million profit, right? The Journal and the report sent the stock sinking 5%. So I'm sure this guy has a lot of people who are not happy with him, doesn't give them any excuse or justification to execute him or assassinate him. But you can imagine, right? Healthcare is a very, very complex issue. The revelation of the alleged insider trading led Senators Warren and Markey to write a letter. Thompson is survived by his wife, Paulette, 2 kids. Tim Wentworth, CEO of Walgreens, wrote on LinkedIn that the healthcare industry was deeply saddened, right? So that guy, Tim, CEO of Walgreens, like writes a nicer letter than his own company. I've long respected Brian as a dedicated leader, and our thoughts and prayers are with the countless people who knew him on this incredibly difficult day. It's like, imagine if, like, you know, you're at your business, you get gunned down, and then they're like, did you change her passwords? Change her passwords. Yeah, just make sure. Just take her off the CRM. Sucks that she got shot in the back, but she shouldn't be on the website since she doesn't work here anymore. Also, delete her email. Thanks. Like, wow, okay, interesting. So that's what we saw. Daily Mail is reporting the same. And the things on the bullet, right? The writings, the messages on the bullets are very strange. Very, very strange. You can see here's some more photos of the scene. Why did he write those on there? Is it related to a lawsuit? Here's kind of a recreation. Gunman opens fire right here at this location as the guy's walking down the street, flees up 6th Avenue, leaving the health insurance CEO dying on the sidewalk. Then somebody on X says that they tracked e-bike data and that he found him get on an e-bike and ride up into Central Park, and then he disappeared into Central Park, and they can't find him. So the masked attacker cuts down Ziegfeld alleyway before jumping on a bike and escaping. Then the suspect flees into Central Park. Manhunt is launched. Dude's gone. Crazy. So interesting story there. Now, some psycho lunatics over on Blue Sky, which is the Twitter alternative, are saying things like this. Here's Taylor Lorenz. She says, and people wonder why we want these executives dead. Sheesh. Says Blue Cross Blue Shield in Connecticut has declared it will no longer pay for anesthesia for full length of some surgeries. If the procedure goes over, you're going to wake up and just deal with it. And again, I got no love for these mega corporations, but these mega corporations, Taylor, are in bed with the government. That's why they're so terrible. It's because the government protects them and insulates them. And there is no real free market operation in any real sense. And we're all slaves to the healthcare industry. We're being poisoned by them and then treated by the same people who are poisoning us. So I got no love for them. But you can't shoot people in the middle of the street, Taylor. We want these executives dead? What a psycho. All right, so that's just one post. She says, people have very justified hatred towards insurance company CEOs. That's fine. You can hate them. That's fine. Because these executives are responsible for an unfathomable amount of death and suffering. Yeah. And it's interesting coming from her, because wasn't she like throw those jabs in your bodies like 35 times? You're like, are we talking about the same thing? As someone against death and suffering, clearly not. I think it's good to call out this broken system and the people in power who enable it. Wow. Taylor. So that might have come before the post. I don't know. But she's also, I guess, putting a target on this woman, Kim A. Keck, Blue Cross Blue Shield. She posted her name and photo. Maybe she'll post her address next. Taylor Lorenz. Is she still at the Washington Post? Are they enabling this, or did she leave there? But that's kind of lunacy, right? So the liberals, if they don't like you, they will literally want you dead in the streets, shot dead in the streets, and they'll go on their social media accounts and post about it. So that's who we're dealing with. Good to know. We'll keep our eye on this story, a very strange one that may have something to do with the law, with a legal case, when he says defend, deny, depose. I wonder if that is something that is a quote. Maybe that's a quote from Thompson, where he said deny, defend, depose is a strategy. This person was a party to that. Very interesting. Taylor Lorenz left. Maybe that's why she's having a meltdown. Got booted from the Post so she could pursue other ventures. And now she's wanting CEOs dead. So, well, she got her wish on this one. Hopefully, it doesn't happen any further, because we don't want to live in a society where you're walking down the street and you get gunned down. We have due process of law. We have the presumption of innocence. People can be monsters, but we want a functional justice system that prosecutes people according to the law and doesn't create lawless murder on the streets. But we know the left doesn't operate that way, and so we play and plan accordingly. All right, now, speaking of corrupt leftists who'll do whatever they can to put themselves above the law, here's this one. Biden is plotting and planning to issue preemptive pardons to a bunch of people who will need those pardons because they're criminals. And we'll see if he does this or not, but the list of the people is quite shocking. We're asking about Liz Cheney. We're asking about Fauci. We're asking about Milley. All these people who say that they were on the right side of the law are now scrambling because they need a pardon. What? President Biden's senior aides are conducting a vigorous internal debate about preemptive pardons to a slew of people. They're deeply concerned about all the crimes they've committed. And now they've got a sense of alarm now that Kash Patel is going to be in charge. Now they're carefully weighing these extraordinary steps. They're touching those currently in office, but here's the names. Shifty Schiff from California, Liz Cheney. Trump said Cheney should go to jail. She should, along with the rest of the committee. They should, because they lied to America. They falsified evidence, manipulated evidence, and tried to rig a prosecution in the courts, in the Congress. Now they've got legislative immunity, but I'm sure there's other non-congressional behavior that did not take place in the halls of Congress that is prosecutable. Also mentioned by Biden's aides is Anthony Fauci. Some of the worst people, perhaps the worst people in the country. I'm waiting for Brennan's name, waiting for Milley's name to be on here. The West Wing deliberations have been organized by the White House counsel called Ed Siskel and Jeff Zients. The president himself, who was intensely focused on Hunty, has not been brought into the broader discussions yet, because you don't even need him. What does it matter? It's just Joe. The conversations were spurred by Trump's so-called threats. They broke the law. No one's above the law unless you're Hunter. Biden's ultimate decision, though, could prove just as consequential. If they do this, it, in my mind, proves they're criminals. It's just proof that they're criminals. Now, there's a benefit to that, right? There's a silver lining. You say, why does Fauci need to be pardoned for all of his scientific work? Trump has more legitimacy than the Democrats do. He just won. People are furious about the Hunter Biden pardon because we know he's guilty and he committed crimes. In fact, he pled guilty and was found guilty by a jury. Now he's going to escape any liability at all. And they're going to do the same thing with Liz and Fauci. Now, I do want to see them investigated. And if there's evidence there, I want to see them prosecuted. If there's probable cause to bring charges and a grand jury finds that Fauci committed some crimes, he should be prosecuted accordingly. That's not retribution. That's pursuing the law. And if there's obstruction, if they're deleting evidence, if they're trying to cover up their crimes, if they're engaged in a conspiracy, we need to root that out because we don't want that in our government. So if they have to come and preemptively pardon all those people, it confirms they're criminals. That the conversations are taking place at all reflects the growing anxieties. The remarkable 11-year breadth of pardon that he gave to Hunty is about Trump seizing any openings for prosecution. It's not about Hunter, it's about Joe. At issue, to repurpose a phrase, is whether to take Trump seriously and literally. I hope so. We hope he is serious and literal. End of the administration pardons are always politically fraught. But Bush and his intervention, so he did one for Secretary Kaspar. Bill Clinton pardoned Mark Rich. But what if they do Cheney? Oh my gosh. Cheney? Schiff? And that was before the president pardoned his son. He infuriated a bunch of people. Now his aides must consider whether they should offer the same legal inoculation to public officials. And so that might change the whole dynamic, right? Like if Liz Cheney gets pardoned, if Anthony Fauci gets pardoned, then suddenly I'm like, all right, where's our Fannie Willis at? Yeah. Historically, it's like, yeah, the pardon power is very broad. But if they're going to try to insulate those criminals from crimes that they openly committed, that's a cover-up. Now I'm looking for state prosecutors to go prosecute them for state crimes. The White House is facing contradictory pressures. Some longtime Democratic lawmakers like Ed Markey from Massachusetts have talked favorably about Gerald Ford's preemptive pardon of Nixon. Yeah, but that was in a new administration. That's a little different here than pardoning. I mean, Ford ascended. I mean, he was Nixon's VP, but he ascended, right? And that was like a new administration pardoning the president. This would be within the current administration, covering up his own crimes. Yeah, it's now if it's clear by January 19th that Trump is going to engage in revenge, it's called the law, then I would recommend preemptive pardons. There's no hypothetical threat. The time for caution is over. They have to pardon themselves because they broke the law. Schiff says, I would urge the president not to pardon us. I think it's defensive and unnecessary. Yeah, I mean, I think it might actually increase the scrutiny on these people. Like it's a backfire. Some senior Democrats I spoke with, however, wonder how many of those facing retribution are adopting, it's not retribution, political morons, which is to say some may publicly oppose preemptive pardons for reasons of innocence or precedence, right? We don't need a pardon. We did nothing wrong. What has some Biden aides particularly concerned is that even the threat of retaliation could be a lot. It's right. It's a lot, especially for those individuals without a bunch of money. Future legal bills. They took out Trump's entire operation with all of this. Now they're like, holy crap. We know what we did to them. Now they're going to do that to us. We'll see if they do it or not. But the Daily Mail's reporting the same thing, saying Liz Cheney, Fauci, saying if Kash Patel comes in, Shifty Schiff might be under the scrutiny as well. All these three people, some of the worst. Shifty Schiff and Pencil Neck, who you can write censured right on his neck because it's so long. He's got a watermelon head too. Now, Schiff said he doesn't want a pardon, apparently says. Politico reported unnamed senior Democrats are talking about this, Liz Cheney and more, but Schiff does not want it. There's some reaction to this. Bill Clinton was out speaking about these pardons, and people are saying, well, Hunter's pardon is no different than Bill's pardon. Bill pardoned his brother, donor, Mark Rich, or whoever, that was a donor. His brother got pardoned. And here's Clinton defending himself against what Joe Biden did.
To speak up about problems they observed.
Let's turn that off.
Inadequate resources.
And come back over here.
Of Biden's pardon for his son. This was not on my plan originally, but I thought, you know what? Everybody, we were out in the hallway. They were all talking about that. And I said, I'm going to ask the president first.
Well, I think that the president did have reason to believe that the nature of the offenses involved were likely to produce far stronger adverse consequences for his son than they would for any normal person under the same circumstances. And
Biden might think that, but the truth of the matter is Hunter's actions, okay, like if two totally innocent people got charged with these gun crimes or these tax crimes, yeah, Hunter's going to have some additional scrutiny because he's the president's son. And you look to people in that position to set the standard for the rest of us. Well, how are they treating them so everybody else can see, right? One kid acts badly in the class, that kid gets scolded, the rest of the class knows the standard matters. There is no double standard.
Yeah, well, you don't have to get out of a public building. You don't have to get out of a public building unless you've committed a crime. I committed no crime, and he had no reason to throw me out.
If you're in a store and they tell you you have to leave,
That's a store. This is a public building.
But
It's a courthouse. And
Yeah. They don't
they're
have the right
part
to
of the
throw
court.
any person who paid for this monstrosity out unless they've committed a crime. They do it because they're full of shit and they hate law. They only make law to break it.
This is like the whole.
Chuck, you're muted.
Again? No, I got it back on.
Oh,
Hey,
okay.
put a one if I'm back on.
You've been muted for 5 minutes, they
Yeah.
say.
Yep, I turned it back on.
Okay,
So
cool.
I'm not muted no more, right, guys?
You get pulled over, you don't have a license, they take your car. They basically legalize carjacking for themselves. But if I walked up and said, "Hey, I'm taking your car," you don't have a license, I go to jail.
And Teapot, his name is, oh, hey, Charles, you in here? O'Brien, it's Irish. A little Teapot, little piece of shit. Show that's Brendan. And he did that just because you called him a liar. That's all he put his hands on you, just for that.
Yeah.
You didn't put your hands on him or nothing.
Not at all. I just swung away from him, like reversed a bunch of times, like three times.
Why he had his hands on you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
That's why I'm all wrong on my arm.
No, I'm not. So anyway, guys, call down there and someone in the chat, if you know that guy's name, we call him Teapot. Yeah, he shut there. And I tried to make a complaint with his boss, but he didn't care about that. He cares about trust.
Sorry, guys. I'm a little worked up.
But
Hey, Johnny B.
no, I don't have a static.
Thank you.
But these guys are live. And you static?
I'm live.
Yeah, everybody's
That's
live.
how they knew. Hey, Doc. Clueless Beekeeping.
Everybody's live.
Unindoctrinated. Jody.
I was going static with
Love you guys. I don't know. I don't know what they did because I was talking to that little bitch in the blue shirt.
Hey, was you in the courtroom the whole time, weren't you?
Yes.
Is it over? It's over now, right?
Well, they stopped it because he's not going to be there, and then I had to either go live and let everybody know or stay there in audio. But they basically just all the detectives that arrested him last time were in there. That one lady that arrested him was right here on the stone, and they wouldn't give them. Hopefully they come out this front door. They'll probably go out the back door and do all these little.
Let's move down to the fucking.
Yeah, because they're just right there.
Yeah, let's move down to that building. They think we left, but.
Yeah.
What building? Oh, the Pima County attorneys.
Just stand right out front till they get there.
But yeah, they don't like people winning in court.
Is that where they're going to take him?
If you start
No,
winning
I
in
think he's
court
already
pro
at the
se,
jail.
Oh, the jail.
they're going to arrest you here.
Well,
That's about all there is.
I'm
to
probably
it.
going to get going
No matter
soon.
what you say, that judge was baiting him. He was reading this long bullshit just to bait Lane. He listened to it for quite a while, 10 minutes or so, and then he just said, "I'm going to go in my next hearing."
Oh, come on.
Because he had one at 10 o'clock. So they made him miss both hearings. And Brandon Williams is responsible for making him miss.
My thumb is jammed from that dude. I should go get x-rayed for my abrasions on my arm. You can see it better because my skin's so dry. I could have punched that guy. I never realized how much power I had in me until I've never really been like assaulted like that before in my whole life, really, except for, weak crap from my sister. I felt like ready to fight. Yeah.
Man's not supposed to touch a female ever.
Well, I called him a liar, I shouldn't have made him beat me, right? Yeah, he wanted to handcuff me. He told me to put my hands behind my back, and I said, why? And I got away from him.
Then he put you out here, so what?
He grabbed me 3 times in there and I got away from him.
But he didn't trespass you.
He tried to put me in handcuffs.
But he didn't trespass you. He didn't say you're trespassing.
He said, go, go, go a bunch of times. And I said, why a bunch of times. Because I called you a liar. Because I called you a liar. That's what I kept saying to him. Pussy.
See, I talk shit to him, and if he came towards me like that, then the whole, I'd have laid him on his ass.
I felt that power inside of me. I really did, because he was a little pipsqueak. His eye came to mine.
Yeah, no, you understand? I'm not from here.
Well,
in the courtroom just now, I told him straight up, and the judge was telling me to be quiet. I said, no, I'm going to speak my fucking mind. I don't know. That's what Lane Myers got arrested for. He said the same thing. I have every right to speak my mind. Yeah. Legally. Speak my mind.
Not in Arizona. Not
and
here.
He said, sir, I don't even know what's going on. Let me get to the point. And I said, okay, now you're talking in my level. But you're not going to tell me to be quiet and shut up.
Yeah.
No, that's not how you talk to me. Talk to me like I'm a fucking man. I'm a grown-ass man.
Well, they're not men, so they don't understand that concept.
Listen, I've done time for smacking the shit out of a judge. I don't give a fuck. Morning.
Hi, I like your smile.
I was 19 years old, and I was facing beyond life. And the judge literally wanted to come out with this bullshit, how her friend got killed because somebody said they were going to do it. And I said I was going to do something, and I never did it. And she kept going off at the mouth, and I smacked the shit out of her. I literally jumped, handcuffed and everything. Took my hands like this and smacked her.
Oh my gosh. Yes, that's a cactus. What was the question? I honestly don't know the nicknames. Which one's Slinky? Tucson Toe Tag's okay. He's over here. Lane got taken away out of the back door of the courtroom. Our friend did, and the judge was going on and on and on about decorum in the courtroom. They were waiting outside to arrest our friend, and it was on purpose to. It was obviously a biased judge, and he was. He's been arrested so many times recently. This one was for contempt of court because he complained that the judge was rambling on and on about decorum, and he demanded to know why it wasn't on Zoom, and the judge said it's scheduled for an in-person hearing. Well, everything's supposed to be able to be seen on Zoom because it's a public hearing. Yeah, well, not with Lane. And then one more outburst. It was like it was why are you I can't remember the second thing he asked, but it was enough. He said, I'm holding you in contempt. The guys were already in the courtroom ready to take him out. It was a total setup, and they've been doing this shit. They've arrested him at another hearing right before he went in. Bye. My back hurts. I should go to the doctor. He shoved me into the door.
I like how fucking
He's the one that, you're fucking with Charles' bitch, right? He's the one that, he did the same thing to Charles. And then Charles blew him up in the chest, knocked him back. He took his phone, and then this was 5 years ago. Then he went to High Desert Community Watch, tried to take his phone, and said it wasn't about the phones.
Yeah, that's what I asked him. I was like, can I go in there? He's like, yeah, you can go in there. I was like, why can't he? Is it about the phone? And he said, you can't. I can't remember. He was like avoiding answering the question. So there's a public assessor and what's the other one? Recorder in the lobby of that building.
Treasurer, yep. Yeah, you're right. Recorder and public assessors.
So I was asking him about what are you allowed to go and record in those? And then he was like, not. I can't remember what they were saying.
I came out to get my flashlights back, So I came out of that part. And I was in.
I should go get it documented.
The 122.1 don't is only in the courthouse. That's the security. It's not out here. So, but they don't care. And me, Charles, Roy, who's under pressure, and Slinky, we have a lawsuit against these guys, city court and superior court, to take them signs down. Because it says no recording after 122.1. 122.1 says you can.
Ooh, look at that blazer, you guys. Oh, that's sexy. Could use better wheels, but that's okay. Hey, Grego. Princess and Pirate.
The lobbies where you walk into court security. Because like you said, the recorder's office and treasurer's in there. And you don't have to go through the security to get there.
Clueless Beekeeping, did you hear about why Lane got removed? I can say it again. I was talking to that goofy Philly guy about it. Basically, he got removed for contempt of court. The judge was rambling on and on and on and on about decorum in the courtroom. And it was bullshit. And actually, you can go watch the live. I think it's still up there. I don't think it went private. I'm okay. Just my back hurts, my hand hurts, and my arm a little bit. Funny, the part that he grabbed the most hurts the least because he's that weak. I kept getting out of his weak-ass grip. He kept grabbing my bicep. And I just spun backwards out of his grip. He had no right to touch me. I think you can rewind, though. Clueless Beekeeping, you can go back to the beginning and see it. Or hear it, at least. Lane was asking why it wasn't on Zoom. And the judge said this was scheduled for a public hearing. I don't remember the second thing that he said to him. But anyways. I think I'm going to get going. This Tucson Toe Tag is live. And Tech Police suck. I love you guys. Thank you for being here. I was trying to go live when I was in the lobby, but that guy, I started asking him questions and then he got violent. So I stuck my phone in my pocket so he wouldn't be jacking it unless he reached in there. Okay. I love you guys. Bye.
Notoriety and no name recognition does absolutely worse than somebody with the name recognition and the notoriety. It's just a thing that happens. I think other defense attorneys would agree with me on that. In most cases, there are those other cases where they like want to make an example out of somebody. Like, nope, sorry, that guy's like, we have to make an example out of him. Okay, but most cases not. Sports athletes, celebrities, like minor celebrities and things like that, they get better deals than other people. It's just how it works. It's human nature. So Hunter, even if they were both innocent, he would get a better deal in general. Just how it works. Okay. Prosecutors are people too. They're like, oh, wow, that's him. You're kidding. Okay. And they in many cases, they'll work with you too, because of that person. So that's beside the point. Hunter would have a better outcome if he was an actually innocent person, but he's not. His conduct was so egregious and reprehensible that he's starting at a much greater deficit. So all of this is a false premise. His conduct, what he got charged with, is such a slap on the wrist relative to the actual crimes he committed that this entire premise is false.
But I would urge all of you to just look at the facts before you make a judgment and see what they're talking about and what the context is. Because I'm still reading, somebody said, well, this is just like when Bill Clinton pardoned his brother. Well, it's not. My brother did 14 months in the federal prison.
Yeah, Joe didn't.
For something he
Hunter didn't
did
do
when
that.
he was 20. And I supported it. And he testified, told the truth about what he'd done when he had a drug problem and helped to bring down a larger enterprise. And they sentenced him, and then he served 14 months and he got out.
And that's righting the wrong. Yesterday on the show, we talked about how they'll often make you wait 5 years before you request a commutation or a pardon, or even, a set aside or an expungement or any of these other mechanisms to clear your record. They want you to wait. Hunter was in the middle of that. He hadn't even been sentenced yet, and they pardoned him. Totally different than Bill Clinton's situation, but the left doesn't want to admit that, and they are still in a state of cognitive dissonance where they're like, well, Joe's going to be victimized by Trump. Where have you guys been for these last 4 years with the actual literal prosecutions of Trump? And beyond that, when the deep state was violating his privacy rights and exploiting FISA warrants to go spy on his campaign, right? It's been a problem for years. Now you guys are freaked out about it?
The question is, would they accept a pardon? Because if you don't think you did anything wrong, which they didn't,
yes,
they might
did.
want to not take a pardon.
Yeah, they did, because they're talking about it right now.
But I will say this, you're talking about an unprecedented crew of people coming in. Listen, even if they don't indict you, they could investigate you into bankruptcy, torture you with FBI investigations. Kash Patel is evidently going to be our next FBI director. Is that what you want to be dealing with for the rest of your life?
Trump during the time he was out of office.
President Trump got actually indicted by a grand jury.
They tried to bankrupt him. They raided his house.
Okay, so did you see her? She can't even reconcile it. Brain just shattered into a million pieces. So if Trump indicts, if these people get indicted in Texas for all sorts of crimes, is she going to sit there and come back out and say, well, it was a grand jury. Okay, a grand jury did it, and a jury found it. Yeah, a jury found Hunter guilty. They pardoned him. And Trump's Florida case was dismissed because Jack Smith was illegal. And she's not sitting here saying that defense of that case was unwarranted or legitimate or whatever. Not even mentioning that. His entire classified documents case got dismissed. They smeared his name on that for a year, 2 years. He's selling secrets to the Syrians or whatever. They went after the alternate electors, 19 people in Georgia. $500 million judgment by Tish James that the Court of Appeals scolded her on. Prosecuted him for immune conduct that no president has been prosecuted for. These people are just nuts. And there is a reckoning that is going to be coming. So Cassie Hunt was talking about this. She says that she thinks this pardon talk is real because they are freaked out.
President Biden sparked a wave of bipartisan backlash this week, announcing the sweeping pardon of his son Hunter. But according to new Politico reporting, it may not be the only pardon that Biden grants. Jonathan Martin reports this. President Joe Biden's senior aides are conducting a vigorous internal debate over whether to issue preemptive pardons to a range of current and former public officials who could be targeted with President-elect Donald Trump's return to the White House. One House Democrat already has some ideas about who should be on that list.
Jack Smith's name is on my list. Liz Cheney's name is on my list.
Criminal.
I think that they all should be preemptively pardoned because I think there are people who Trump may bring into this government who will go after these people in a serious way.
They should.
And there's no need to subject them to that.
The panel is back. Kate Bedingfield, how real do you think this is? And how important does the White House see this?
Oh, I think it's real. I think they are, I mean, look, you heard President Biden and then Vice President Harris on the campaign trail talk about what they believed Donald Trump's abuses of power would mean. And I think that they're taking every opportunity here to explore the options they have left in the time that they have left in office to protect people who may be subject to that attack. So yes, I think it is absolutely a serious process they're undergoing. We'll see what the ultimate outcome is, but I would imagine that Biden views this as an opportunity to ensure that people who don't deserve to be targeted in that way aren't.
Oh gosh, they're such cowards. They can't even reconcile the fact that they lectured us for the last several years about how amazing the Justice Department is and how the men and women and the prosecutors and the grand jurors and all the people of New York and Washington, D.C. that voted 80-90% for Democrats, that they were fair and impartial citizens who were just doing their civic duty and voting to indict people and voting to convict J6ers and all that stuff. All of that was fair. But all of that is going to evaporate immediately because Kash Patel is going to be in charge of the FBI or because Pam Bondi is going to be in charge of the FBI, and they're going to shift the entire institution. I thought that entire institution was not something that could be shifted, and that the men and women in the grand juries are people who can be trusted to protect the law and all this stuff. No, they're not. They're hacks. As long as they're in charge, they're okay with how everything is being run. But then when the kids get caught with their hand in the cookie jar, then they scramble in the last 5 minutes and they say, how can we cover up and come up with our excuse to lie to mom and dad about what we've done here? And then they'll sit around and say Trump is going to be the retributive one. No, we know better. Now, Hunter Biden, who got the pardon, is laughing it up, man. He's having a great time. Was he coming out? Was he getting some food?
Hey, Hunter, any comment on the pardon? Do you think they're going to overturn it? Do you think the DOJ is going to overturn it? Is he getting a little Happy Meal? Do you think they're going to overturn it, Hunter?
Okay, so I guess Hunter was getting a Happy Meal. He's a little hungry after probably another crack session. Son Hunter Biden was spotted on camera smiling for the cameras. He went and got fast food. He went to Arby's. Wow. The media was heard asking Hunter, why didn't they drive through, in a short video outside the restaurant, if he had any comment on the pardon. The first son did not respond. Instead, was seen hopping into the back of an SUV. This is an intentional photo. Okay. Let me go get some Arby's and smile so the people can see me, because he is gloating because his pathetic father pathetically pardoned him. The photos and video come after Biden announced on Sunday he's going to spare his son from being sentenced and now his tax bills also evaporated. Today, I signed a pardon for my son, Hunter. Look at him smiling away. Isn't that incredible? Happy as can be. He got away with it. I believe in the justice system. The pardon stands in stark contrast. And Joe Biden lied to everybody, literally said, I will abide by the jury's decision. Lying hack. And he's going to get Arby's, which is one of the worst fast food places. Hunter was found guilty on June 11th of lying. And now he runs free because he's above the law. And now he's going to Arby's, of all places. Typical. The Biden family likes Arby's. All right. Anyways, so that's what's happening there. And this is what the Oversight Committee ultimately said. Here is why Biden issued a full and unconditional pardon for his son, Hunter, absolving his son of any offenses he committed all the way back to 2014. In February 2014, then VP Joe dined in Washington at Cafe Milano with a Russian oligarch and Russia's richest woman called Yelena Baturina. In 2014, Baturina wired $3.5 million to Hunter's entity. Now, also at that dinner was Kanes Rakishev, a Kazakhstani oligarch. On April 22nd, 2014, Rakishev used a Singaporean entity called Novartis Holdings to wire another one of Hunter's entities $140,000. The next day, Rosemont gave that money to a car dealership and Hunter got a car. In the spring of 14, Hunter joined Burisma, a Ukrainian gas company. They paid him $1 million a year despite no relevant experience. Now, the Biden influence peddling racket has been centered from 2014 and on. Joe Biden knows this. He's not covering for Hunter. Joe Biden is trying to protect himself. And we know that's true. And Hunter Biden was just a small part of this. He's just the bag man. The big question will be, is Joe going to pardon himself? Is Joe going to pardon his brother? Those are some big names too. What about his wife? Was she involved in this? We'll see. But pardons are going out because the Democrats are pathetic. They think that they are above the law. They are above the law. They manipulate the law to go after their opponents, to throw them off the ballots, to incarcerate them. Now they're scared that the American people have caught them and are going to enact real justice, and they're scrambling to prevent that from happening. But we are not going to let that happen. All right, so we got one final update on America's worst mayor of all time. And then we'll see what you have to say about this. Tiffany Henyard, America's self-declared super mayor, now loses. And man, she is unhappy about this. She posted this on TikTok, and there's other videos of her saying that she is going to start arresting people and suing your butts because you didn't caucus for her. Now, she is the mayor of Dalton, and she's been in numerous scandals. She's had them try to cancel her credit cards and take away her vehicles and all sorts of stuff. But now she's losing some of her political power. The, quote, super mayor lost the Democratic nomination for the Thornton Township. She has two positions. She lost one of them. Her name was not even on the ballot because she did not have a certified assessor on her ticket. She's furious, calling it illegal. Instead, Illinois State Senator and committeeman called Napoleon overwhelmingly won the nomination, and she became enraged after she lost, absolutely lost her mind. You can see the photos here. Said, you didn't run none of this the right way. Illegal, Napoleon, illegal. And she made some further statements about this. You can see she's been in a bunch of scandals. Here's what some of that video sounds like from her.
Hey guys, come on in, come on in. It's your favorite super mayor, Tiffany A. Henyard,
Not really.
the people's mayor. I will be seeking arrests for individuals involved. I will be pressing charges.
What?
It's a lot. And that's just me telling you a little bit.
Okay.
Because all this point the finger to Tiffany or allow me, I'm over it. Now it's time for me to speak. As I say, truth speaks.
Tell us.
That's what time it is.
You tell us.
So stay tuned.
We're here.
It's your turn. Not when it's time to run and you're promising me the world. No. Residents, hear me. You don't need that. You don't want that. It's time out for that. It's time now to make a stand with your supervisor, Tiffany A. Henyard, a.k.a. Super Mayor, Mayor of Dalton, the first female in both places. It's time. And I want women to stand up. Stop fighting each other. I never seen this crab in the barrel mentality. I just haven't.
Crab in the barrel?
But like I said, if it can happen to me, it can happen to you. But what I want us to do is band together because it's unity amongst community for me. It always has been. You ain't never going to see a politician that do 40 events in a year who overworks themselves. You got to care if you're going to put in that much work. Who going to make events for the kids and the youth? Who going to make sure they always do something?
Tiffany.
Well, answer this, residents, please. Answer this one question.
Okay.
Why is it when supervisor, a.k.a. Mayor Henyard, do an event, y'all call it wasteful spending or she doing this or doing that?
Well, because it seems like you are spending and wasting a lot of money. I think that's part of the reason people say that it's wasteful. Here's another clip of Tiffany.
My people are here. What do you mean? I will be victorious tonight. You will see. My people are here. They're not going to go nowhere. The show will go on.
It's the right way. Illegal. Napoleon. I will be suing everybody tomorrow.
Suing?
This is illegal.
This is illegal in your favor.
Illegal.
Bye.
What?
Everybody's waving her out. And so she's having a tough time over there. You can see illegal. Everybody's getting sued. Everybody's getting arrested. She's having a tough time there in Illinois. Now, similarly, Chicago, not too far from America's supermayor, they're also having a hard time. You can see here's what some residents sounded like when they were dealing with Mayor Brandon Johnson out in Chicago.
Good evening, everybody.
Good afternoon.
I want to know, how does it feel that Trump is in office right now? You see the Mayor Brandon Johnson, you underestimate us. You underestimate the black people, and you underestimate Chicago Red. We're the thorn in your side, and we're going to be the thorn on everybody else in this council member side too. If you don't stop what you're doing, we're going to take matters in our own hand, and we're going to stop it. You know that Trump had pulled 45% of the voter in the state of Illinois, 37 in the city of Chicago. That's the statistic. That means that Illinois is turning purple. We're going to turn red.
Y'all can bird dog me all y'all want, but if it's relationship over duty, then y'all don't serve the blue. And you can smirk all you want.
Mr. Sims, direct your attention towards me, please.
You're a criminal. Why do I got to address you? The feds need to address you. DOJ need to address you, and hopefully Donald Trump will address you.
Yeah.
Because you're going to protect the undocumented. Why you going to allow for the citizens in Chicago to suffer under your, 33%? Well, see, Joe Lopez cooked that 3% up a long time ago. Y'all called it a circuit breaker. Y'all been talked about it. Remember, before you came in here and gave that jovial speech, you need to be inspected. You ain't that creep over there.
Acting like, you just gonna bully everybody. You got people, officers whose families don't even want you to come to the funeral. You just like a schoolyard bully.
That's right.
That at some point, and you might not know nothing about it because you grew up in Elgin. But those of us who grew up on the south side and west side of Chicago, we all know that at some point that bully gets cornered in an alley and everybody come at him and he ain't gonna have nobody to help him.
People get tired of it.
That's you. That's you. Keep thinking you ain't gonna abide by what the president of the United States said. Everybody know better than that. I see you, Anna Valencia, in your red. You know what it is. This is the second time you showed up in city council in red. You know what it is? Yeah. Yeah. So you and the rest of them that know what time it is, y'all come on. You leave that loser where he is. He's a loser. He's a loser. No, me and Zoe, we ain't doing nothing for nobody except for ourselves. We got you, loser.
Yeah.
14% rating is what you appear to have, Brandon Johnson.
Look at all the red, man.
Across the United States, or how they see you. But 14% rating. Now, I'm going to talk about all those known donations of $11.5 million that came from places like the CTU, the SEIU, the American Federation of Teachers, Illinois Federation of Teachers, and then someone got the nerve to get on there and talk about cutting the pensions. What about our real estate? Because see, we paid for these properties for a purpose and not for you to go touching it with $300 million that you want to siphon out of the citizens' pockets. Get rid of the illegals, and that'll take your money right back. Start it off with that.
Good for those people there taking it to Mayor Brandon Johnson, wrecking Chicago. Johnson has endured a torrid tenure as mayor. Lawsuit earlier this year says that Johnson spent $400 million on illegals, which could have gone to the people who live there. Fury over Johnson's approach reached a boiling point. People came in there, laced into him, and good for them. People have had enough of these incompetents who care more about other people and themselves than they do about their own constituents. So Tiffany and Brandon having a tough time there in Illinois. We're here for it. All right, my friends, let's see what you say about all this. It is a beautiful Thursday. Yeah, can they do a recall? I don't know. I don't know what's going on over there. So she just lost that caucus, but she's still the mayor in another situation. So we'll see what happens next. What's up, Voices here? Speaking of Henyard. Says you could do a 2-hour show on Henyard and still not mention everything she's done. We were discussing last night doing just that one day soon. You should, Voice. We haven't spent a ton of time on her. I think I was following that earlier, and then she didn't actually get indicted on anything. So I'm like waiting for her to get indicted. I'm like, where's this indictment going to be? But she's just kind of doing whatever she wants. Thank you, Voice. Great to see you. Michael Allen Hughes, 21 months as a membo. Good to see you, Michael Allen. Says prosperous times are coming as Trump fixes America. Anyone following Bitcoin? Oh, man. Crossed 100K last night. Dow's doing well. 100K Bitcoin. Pretty amazing. Thank you, Michael Allen, for being here for 21 months. Hey, Rob White says they can be made to testify for their crimes. Even though they have been pardoned, they can't plead the fifth. Expose the crimes to the public, saying no one is above the law, so pardon them all. I see what you're saying. Yeah, so pardon. And I still think that there is a legal explanation for why that is not true, like why Hunter Biden will not be forced to testify. I don't think it's been tested, so maybe we can breach that. But the idea is if he pardons Cheney, if he pardons Milley, if he pardons Fauci, can they be forced to testify? Yeah, maybe. Arguably. I think arguably, yes, they definitely arguably can, but they also arguably cannot. And that I would actually rather see them, like with Hunter, I'm less concerned about that because like I said, I think he was kind of a peon. And if he could be made to testify against someone else, right, not testify against something that would incriminate him, but testify against brother or dad or mom, that might be a good thing. Because Hunter is worth not getting convictions on if you're going to get Joe or if you're going to get Frank or whomever. But Cheney and Fauci, those are the big fish, right? Like if they get a pardon, they cannot be convicted. And like you want them to be convicted. Pardon's just a crackhead kid who's probably been totally damaged because of Joe's showering or whatever. So the big people there are Joe and all of the other people. And Hunter's a piece of work, don't get me wrong. Like him smiling there, it's so agitating. That's why he did it. But Fauci, like you want Fauci. You don't like Fauci. You don't want to drag Fauci in to come in and testify about someone else. Like he's the big one. So that's why a pardon would be so irritating for them. White Buffalo says, happy Taco Thursday, my friends. Puerto Rican tacos. Taco Thursday? You can have tacos every night. They're great. Hey, what's up? Voice says, when we get to Henyard episode, when we get it ready, you're welcome to be involved if you want. It's an incredible story, says Voice of the People. Thank you, Voice, for the invitation, my man. I appreciate the offer. I'm sure it's going to be amazing because she's a uniquely horrible figure. Thank you, Voice. Art Pollard says, it's hard to believe that a pardon has effect without enumeration of crimes being pardoned. Was the president duly informed of the crimes? Yeah, it's a good point, Art. And the pardon power doesn't require that, It's so broad, it's so expansive that it doesn't require the president being duly informed. I think the president can say, I trust this individual against what I believe, maybe what they say, so he can issue those. Now, from an ethical perspective, I think, Art, it is troubling, which is why most presidents have not done that.